Good morning. Okay. Yeah, that was a quick video. So that's all I will talk about Sirma SGS. So let me get into uh, the topic which I picked as Y2K moment for India in electronics hardware. So just to refresh your memories, plus some of the younger people who may not know what really happened in the year 2000. It was called the Millennium Bug, right? And we were told planes are going to crash on 1st January, midnight. Everything is going to come to a grinding halt. Life as you know it in the world is going to cease to exist. Everything is going to change, right? We saw that 20 years later, but for a different reason, but it didn't happen because of the Y2K bug. Maybe it was the biggest scam, or probably we went and fixed it before it became a problem. I don't know. I don't know. The jury is still out on that after 22 years. But anyway, there was huge fear of everything malfunctioning, and it was a great moment for India. Like it's going to be post-COVID, how the positive fallouts for India is already been seeing, already we are seeing. I think Y2K bug, I don't care whether it was a scam or whether it was hype, but it did a lot of good for India, right? You will agree, because you just look at the graph there. Fiscal 98, our exports of software was something like $1.9 billion. By 2008, 10 years later, thanks to the Y2K bug, it was 32.9. I'm just picking one company out of the many that are listed there. TCS. Why I use this is because it's a funny story. Apparently, when Ramdurai took over 98, it was 0.3, and when he retired or was about to retire, it became 5.7 billion. So that's the kind of, it's a 19x growth. The overall is 17x growth. So that's what Y2K did to us as a country, right? Somehow it didn't do that for hardware. And we think that now is the time, now is the Y2K moment for hardware, and it has arrived. And I think all the deliberations of the last 2 days, you would start to believe that, right? And I'm here to kind of nail that concept into you very deeply, so that you go back from here and say this is really going to happen. I'll tell you why. Now, many people talked about this in different ways, but this is my take on it. We have the three circles: the economic growth, which is a doubling of aspirers. I'll tell you what that is in the next 5 years. So just take it that there is GDP growth and economic growth in the country. There's geopolitics, China plus one, government support playing out, and everything is becoming smart, right? I don't have to say that. This has been mentioned so many times yesterday by the speakers here. So when you, and I mentioned toothbrush to footwear because some of our biggest revenues today come from a small part we make for the smart toothbrush. And in the last 4 years, we have only sold 600 million of those. We made it in Chennai and we shipped it globally. And that's the power of electronics, right? You can start small, but suddenly it will boom. Every year we are delivering more than 120 million of these, which means almost 400 to 500,000 each day that we have to deliver. Otherwise, somewhere in Germany or Austria or US, the line stops, right? And we can't have that. And India has taken that challenge and they are delivering. That's the bigger news. This is hardcore manufacturing, right? So we are really looking at the three circles intersecting, and we are really at the cusp of a momentous transformation. And that's what I would like to call the Y2K moment in hardware. I'll work on this a little more with you. I said the number of aspirers in the system is going to go up. Today, India has about 64 million households, roughly. So you can say that each household is about 2-3 people, right? And in 2025, this is going to almost double, right? And in that, The households who are aspirers, elite, and the super rich, that's going to go up from 64 million to 110 million. That is adding 60 million new households into the aspirer class, which can afford at least simple electronics. That's about 180 to 200 million people. I know previously in 90s everyone got excited, Indian middle class is 300 million and everything is going to be sold there, but it didn't happen because we didn't take into account the purchasing ability and aspirations of people. Today people aspire for at least basic electronics, which also takes me to another point. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for electronics at the bottom of the pyramid. These are not going to be very high-end iPhone 14s or something like that. Even a basic smartphone, if we can figure out how to make it for the bottom of the pyramid, I think we are going to make a lot of money. And in that whole process, we are going to reinvent something, which is that we will always, I know these have to be priced extremely competitively, right? In that whole process, we'll figure out how to do more with less. And that's the basic principle of sustainability. Nivriti Rai on Tuesday evening said, if India can figure out one thing that we can teach the world, we'll be champions. I think the one thing that India can teach the world, and we have done this so many times, is can we do more with less? Can we make products which are equal in global quality, but for the bottom of the pyramid? We are going to be adding 150 to 180 million people in that segment very soon. So this is something very, very important. And then I look at the penetration of some basic things which are all highly electronic containing, right? Hardware. PC penetration in India 15.4. Compare that to China, which is 41. The US is of course 800. Even if we take that 15 to 30, you're going to need to add 22 million PCs by 2025, in the next 3 years. Our capacity is probably 20 lakhs today, including all the Acers and Asus and HP and all that assemblies that we do in India. That's almost a massive scale that we have to build, or we'll have to import it from China. Are we going to build the scale here, or are we going to just import? That's for all of you to think it over, including myself. AC penetration, and all ACs today are going to be inverter ACs, right? Which means lots of electronics, at least 2,000 rupees of electronics, if not more. Our penetration in this country is 40 per thousand. The next country to shoot for is Indonesia, which is 80 per thousand. Even if we get to Indonesia levels, we will need 5.5 crore inverter air conditioners in the next 3 years. And figure out the math there, 5 crores, 2,000 crores is the minimum, 2,000 rupees is the minimum electronics content. It's actually 3,000, but I'm just conservatively saying we're going to build it for the aspirers, then it's going to be 2,000, then you're going to look at a cool 10,000 crores. That's 1.3 billion, right? Just in these 3 years. I'm not even talking extending this argument to 2030 or 2035. So the opportunity is massive. The transformation is going to be fantastic if we put our mind to it, if we are willing to work really hard. Let me come to the next topic, which is geopolitics, China plus one, government support. Really, we are at the tipping point, and I think the government has realized that, and they've thrown this PLI at us, just to tip the scales in our favor. And I think it's for us to take it and run. And the graphic next to it, the graph there, tells you what happens when government gets involved. 2016, we had a deficit of about $3.3 billion in phones, cell phones. When government got involved, they introduced the PMP. We are about 3 billion surplus last year. We went from That's a swing of almost $6 billion, right? We went from a deficit of 3 point something to a surplus of 3 because the government just decided to do something about it. And today the government has decided to do something about hardware manufacturing in this country. So we are looking really at a very, very significant point in history where the government support is proactive. Unfortunately, we are not ready for answering all the questions that the government is asking us. The first meeting IESA had with the Minister of State, he chased us away saying, look, come back with a much better plan, right? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to embarrass anyone. I was also part of that group. What do you want? This, that. No, please come back with a good plan and then I'll say yes to it. So I think government is proactive today. And the China Plus One, I'll give you one more anecdote, very quick one. We had a large global computer accessories company meeting with us last month. And they actually told us something which was unbelievable. And this, when I say accessories, you can guess what company I'm talking about because you've all used a mouse and other things. They said, we have dropped our China procurement by 40%. We are only at 60% of what we used to do pre-COVID. And the mandate inside is to bring it down to 40%, not making it zero. Imagine the amount of opportunity that will throw up for any country that wants to grab it. The 40% that came out of China, unfortunately, went to Malaysia and other Southeast Asian countries. But I think the next 20%, we should fight hard in this country to get it. And everything smart. Right? From toothbrush to chappals, when we look at it, we just picked 4 areas: electric vehicles, telecom, wearables and hearables, smart meters. I put smart wearables and hearables because yesterday I didn't hear much about it. I think look at the massive opportunity that is out there in the next 8 years. These are billions of dollars. You're talking EV going from 8 to 150, telecom 12 to 20. So some of these are very conservative numbers, as you can see. So this is, and then there is always people telling me there's no Indian brand, there are Chinese brands, there are Taiwanese brands. There are Indian brands. Sirma is catering to some of them as well. And there are other companies, my peers in the industry, in the EMS industry, who are catering to these people. And I've put the logos of, I didn't even take their permission, I put their logos there: Firebolt, Boat, Aether, Ola. These are all Indian brands. So I think the ecosystem is developing, if you care to look. And the opportunity is going to be tremendous, as I already mentioned. So where are we heading in the future? What technologies? I don't have to say this, and you've had this said over and over and over again the last 2 days. Artificial intelligence. Somebody made even a joke about what is AI, which I quite liked. There's going to be blockchain. I don't know how many of you really understand and know blockchain. The first time I really tried to understand blockchain, I said, what if the political parties in India say that by 2030 we will all be blockchain? We'll account for every dollar, every rupee that comes in and every rupee that goes out, and everything in between will be completely transparent. Anybody can log in and check and see where it's all going. That's blockchain. Complete transparency, completely connected, completely, it's available in multiple computers, right? Blockchain is going to be very, very big. I think the UAE government already said all their government transactions is going to be blockchain. So watch out. There's robotics. And then there is biotech. NVIDIA is a great example, right? They went from GPUs they went off into biotech now. And they reinvented themselves in 2006. So these things could happen. So don't underestimate, because, we are a pharmaceutical country. We found that out 2 years back, right? Our capabilities are global. So what and how we can apply electronics to hardware and pharma research and biotech research, that's going to open out a completely new horizon for us. We are not even talking about it. Yesterday, none of the talks talked about this, what we can do for the Indian pharmaceutical companies and the research that's happening there. So fantastic opportunity going forward. I can't tell you enough of it. So what do we need to do? Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. The way forward. After all that build-up, I think it's a very mellow kind of way forward. But I think we have to keep things simple, right? Only then things will happen. We have to build scale quickly. I'll give you a small story. Some years back, a large memory company, which we all know, came to us and said, we are very upset with our Chinese supplier because the guy is trying to sell our technology to somebody else. Can you take over all the memory module manufacturing? And we got excited, right? We had a 30-year relationship with that company, so we said, yeah, why not, we'll do it, blah, blah, blah. Then the second set of guys who came to audit us said, do you realize that the Chinese company is 300x of what you are today? And we said, oh my God, what do we do now? And we have to do all this in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. So we just sat down and said, oh, is that right? And then luckily, fortunately for us, they came to some understanding and then they said, we are not moving it from China to you guys, don't worry. And we are all like, oh, thank God. First time I said, thank God, when the order did come to us. But I'm saying, look, scale has always been a scary thing for us Indians. But fortunately, there are a few younger guys in our population who are showing us, don't be scared of scale. I can tell you the famous video of the Ola founder on top of the factory, the plant, talking to us about the gigafactory, right? So we have to build scale very fast. We have to build skills like never done previously before. We have to do this. And then, expand capabilities via technology development. My time's up, so 30 seconds, like Anand Ranganathan. Ecosystem development. That's very important, especially if you're going to build for the bottom of the pyramid, metal fab, mechanical parts. We are good at this. We have to just put our minds to it. And the Make in India spirit, commitment, stay committed. And I think sustainability, we're not talking enough about it in these forums. I think we have to, Vivekji. I think last time a customer came to us and we said, we have a global environment fund as our shareholders on the board, and they are pushing us on sustainability. So we have promised that by 2030, 2035, we'll be Paris aligned. That guy just lit up like a Christmas tree. He was an auditor. He said, fantastic. You guys do that, we will give you all the orders you want. So I think sustainability is going to be the key that's going to open the opportunities for us globally. So keep that in mind. Next year, I would like to see a whole session, a panel discussion on sustainability on this forum. So Vivekji, application dal diya. Thank you very much. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much.